Let's bring in today's headliner, Anthony Scaramucci, former White House Communications Director. Anthony, great to see you this morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
All right, so you've heard the response.
Big news.
Yeah, so what do you think about it?
Well, listen, I think it's the right strategy. I mean, just talking from the president's legal team, they've got to make sure that it's a very narrow-banded window of questions. They're obviously going to be concerned about the perjury issue. If you were sitting with that legal team right now, you would say the president did absolutely nothing wrong, but we can't have anything, what they used to say about Watergate, the cover-up being worse than the crime, or any potential perjury. And so that is absolutely the right strategy. And I would also recommend to the president, as I've said, let's not tweet about it anymore. No tweets related to the Trump Tower meetings. No tweets related to any of this stuff, because I think he's ultimately going to get what he wants. I do not believe that he's a target of these investigations as it relates to Russian collusion. But what's at issue is, did he do something related to obstructing justice? And so I clearly believe that he did not do that. And now it'll be up to his legal team to prove that to Robert Mueller. And so, but I do think my former law school professor, Alan Dershowitz, is right. They're going to make this thing very, very narrow. Because ideally they really don't want the president to testify. But I know the president, Sandra, and the president probably very much so wants to testify, because he wears everything on his sleeve, and he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
What Dershowitz said with Sandra last hour is that this goes to the Supreme Court. And if it does, the court will rule in favor of some questions and rule out of favor for other questions. So what would be in, Anthony, and what would be out?
Well, listen, I mean, what would clearly be in is whether or not they have the right to speak to the president through the subpoena process. And so I think the conservatives on the court would probably say that they don't. You have to leave the president alone. He's got a very difficult job. And the liberals would probably say that they do. And so they would probably split the baby and allow certain questions to be asked and other questions, frankly, not to be asked. It's interesting because, you know, Judge Kavanaugh wrote a lot of stuff related to this after the Starr investigation. And so he's taken the position now that it's sort of inappropriate to put the president in that position while he's trying to run the United States government.
Rudy Giuliani.
But I don't think. But I just want to say one last thing. I don't think that Jay Sekulow or Rudy Giuliani want it necessarily to go to the Supreme Court. I think they would accept a very narrow window of questioning, and hopefully Robert Mueller will do the same.
Rudy was very clear last night with Hannity on what he will not let happen when it comes to this. Watch.
He knows the answers to every question that he wants to ask. He's going to ask him, did you tell Comey to go easy on Flynn? The president's going to say, no, I didn't. Hey, Bob, you know it. Why do you want to get him under oath? You think we're fools? You want to get him under oath because you want to trap him into perjury. Well, we're not going to let you do that.
Anthony? It's about right.
Well, listen, I mean, listen, the president is a freewheeling guy. You can just look at the campaign stops. You can look at the way he handled the debates, and you look at the way he's handled a lot of aspects to the presidency. And so, but this is not a freewheeling situation. Okay, this requires a tremendous amount of verbal discipline. It requires a tremendous amount of coaching. And listen, it's got to be very frustrating for the president, because he's probably sitting there saying, I've done absolutely nothing wrong. I've got the economy humming. I've got the unemployment numbers at an all-time low. I'm fixing the Korean problem. I'm decimating the Iranians. If you guys would just leave me alone, we've got a roller coaster of winning taking place. And so he's sort of probably upset about the whole thing. Having said that, the locomotion on this thing started after the Comey firing. And hopefully it will conclude soon, and they've got to wrap it up here, hopefully, with a narrow-banded testimony or no testimony. But I really hope it doesn't go to the Supreme Court, guys, because every time something goes to the Supreme Court, it's like lighting another match in the partisan struggle that we have going on in the country right now.
A lot of people think if you don't get an answer by the 1st of September, it slides at the end of the year or even next year, because the midterms, September, October. And speaking of which, we're still digesting the news from Tuesday night. I think you are as well. how you can go into Central Ohio and win the district 2 years ago by 11 points. Mitt Romney won it by 10. And now you're in a virtual dead heat. Karl Rove writes today in the Wall Street Journal all about this. Very interesting. Take number 6, guys. This is what he says, okay, with regard to the president, taken on the stump, etc. Well, this is number 5. Taken as a whole, Tuesday's results don't justify the president's declaration that a giant red wave is coming. It's not. Yes, the GOP can add seats in the Senate. There are 26 Democratic seats up, 10 in states Mr. Trump carried, 5 in states he carried by 18 points or more. That's significant. Compare that with just 9 Republicans up and only 1 in a state Hillary Clinton carried. No Senate landscape has been as favorable to the party in power since senators first elected by popular vote in 1914. He goes on to argue that, yes, the president drives people to the polls when he makes appearances in different districts across the country, but he also drives up the other side as well. And soft Republicans likely will stay home, as we have seen in Ohio and we saw in Pennsylvania 18. Just react to that, Anthony. Is that the reality for midterms in 95?
Yeah, well,
92
listen,
days?
he's an astute political scientist, and it just what ends up happening is the party that's out of office is riled up, and they have higher voter participation going into these midterms. And you can just look at the Rob Astorino race in Westchester last year. Rob got more votes than he got in 2013, but he still lost by 26,000 because there was a rush of registered Democrats that came to the polls. And so what Carl's worried about, and you could clearly see it in District 12 in Ohio 2 days ago or a day ago, that's going to be a problem. Look, I was out in Cleveland over the last 2 days marketing for my firm, talked to a lot of people out there. The president has got a great campaign style, but he really should dial down. He really should dial down some of the tweets because a lot of these Midwesterners that actually really like him, they don't like certain aspects of that bellicosity. And so you've got 92 days left. I told Sandra the other night, that is a lifetime in American politics. And so you cannot underestimate the president. He went from the Access Hollywood tape on October 7th to an electoral success on November the 8th, 1 short month later. And so my bet is that the White House and the president are recalibrating a campaign strategy right now based on what took place this week. And I would not count him out. It may not be a red wave, but it may not also be the blue wave that everybody's talking about either, because of the economy, guys. Wages, all those parameters are good.
That point that Bill went on to make in this Wall Street Journal editorial number 7, guys, is a good one. And I think it's worth pointing this out because he is showing up and endorsing these candidates and making a big difference. Can he keep that up is the question. In this piece, it writes, Tuesday's results cast doubt on the current White House strategy to make the election a referendum on Donald Trump. The president took credit late Tuesday for Balderson's apparent Ohio victory, and perhaps his visit to the district Saturday evening motivated some GOP voters, but his omnipresence also motivates Democrats, while it may demotivate soft Republicans and independents who dislike Mr. Trump. Could that be the case, Anthony?
Well, listen, I'm certain that there's an element of truth to that because that's happened. It happened to Reagan in '82. It happened to Barack Obama in 2010. So there's obviously an element of truth to that. But and not to use a sports metaphor, but if you've got Donald J. Trump and you have the opportunity to deploy him in your district, given the popularity that he has with the Republican base, and given the ability for him to turn out rock star-like audiences and crowds and get the media attention on your agenda, you're going to go with Donald J. Trump. It's like putting Tom Brady in 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl. You're bringing the big guns in there. And even if the opposing side is going to lead to more participation on their side, that is still your best strategy if you're looking at a game theory model. So the president's got the energy of 5 people. I suspect that he'll be out there over the next 90 days in a way that will surprise everybody because of his stamina and his endurance. And by the way, he likes it. You could see it on Saturday night. He was he's very unplugged. He's very comfortable in front of that microphone and that audience. And I think he likes that a lot more than talking about Robert Mueller and the Russian investigation.
Thanks,
Let's put it that
Anthony.
way.
Yeah. Anthony Scaramucci, thank you.